Good morning, everyone. My name is Stephanie Rule. I am so honored to be here with all of you, and I'm here mostly for one reason, because I love New York City. And if you love New York, you cannot help but appreciate and be in awe of the work of the Robin Hood Foundation. Robin Hood's sole mission is to help every single New Yorker thrive. And what a mission that is. Because when you think about what makes New York amazing, it is not our weather, it is not our traffic, it is not our access to space or affordable housing. It's the people. It is the heart and soul of this city. New York is the most philanthropic city in the world because of people in this room. Unlike other major cities throughout history, as people grew wealthier, they moved out of those cities. They developed suburbs. Not New Yorkers. We stayed on this island. We invested and we reinvested. We live on this island together, all New Yorkers. We embody the principle to love thy neighbor. We have no choice. You can smell what your neighbor is cooking. You know when they're arguing. And not just the people who live in your building, it's to love people who live in all of New York City. You don't have to live south of 14th Street to go to a cool restaurant. You don't have to work in a midtown skyscraper to have a good job. And you should not have to live south of 96th Street to have access to good health care or a good education. And thanks to the mission of Robin Hood and the community partner we're about to feature, they're doing work every day to change that. Over the last few years, I've gotten to work with this community partner, Harlem Dream and Robin Hood, on a project I'm very passionate about. Beyond loving thy neighbor, this idea that if you have privilege, you don't have to give your seat up. What you have is the opportunity to build a bigger table. So how do we do that? There's a lot of simple ideas, but they're not that easy to execute. Just a few weeks ago, I had the chance to work with Robin Hood and Harlem Dream on a Halloween party, an old school street party. Halloween, one of the best nights of the year in New York. Not everybody gets to celebrate it. Maybe it's just the kids in your building. Maybe it's just the people in your neighborhood. But for that one day, we shut down a New York City block, and thanks to John Sykes and the power of iHeart, we get to throw an old school block party, dance party, street party for 500 families from Harlem Dream and families from the Upper East Side to just throw down Sesame Street style. And it's amazing. And only organizations like Robin Hood and Harlem Dream could execute a simple idea, but that's not that easy to execute. Harlem Dream was founded in 1991, literally two dirt piles on the worst block in East Harlem, transformed into two baseball diamonds. Those baseball diamonds grew and grew. It became a true community operation, an after-school program, a summer program. We'd bring the kids in with baseball, that was the hook, and then came the academic support. But academic support in the summer and after school, it's not enough. Those students, just like our kids, deserve so much more. They deserve holistic support. Fast forward, Harlem Dream, now a full charter school network in the South Bronx and Harlem, serving 2,000 kids from pre-K to middle school to high school, supporting them through college and their careers. Harlem Dream alumni known as legends. And we've got the report card to prove it. 97% high school graduation rate, 99% college conversion rate. That's Harlem Dream. And Robin Hood has been involved since the beginning. In 1994, it was just a $5,000 grant for the Grand Slam program. That $5,000 grant, fast forward, has become a $9.5 million investment on Robin Hood's part for the Harlem Dream program. Rich Berlin, who started as a volunteer coach for Harlem Dream, he's now co-CEO of Harlem Dream and a Harlem Dream dad, has a really great quote. about philanthropy. He says, we talk a lot in the world of giving. A lot of donors consider themselves innovators, risk takers. He said it's not the case. Most donors are wait-and-see funders, but not Robinhood. Robinhood is the exception to the rule, putting their money where their mouth is. And I'd just like to say, as appreciative as I am of Robinhood's extraordinary funding, extraordinary fundraising capabilities, Paul, John, our board, everyone in this room, amazing. What really makes Robinhood magical is not just the money, which is the gasoline that fuels the Robinhood rocket, but it's the Robinhood team. It's our founding CEO, David Salzman. It's our former CEO, Governor-elect of Maryland, Wes Moore. It's our current CEO, Rich Bury, and the Robinhood team, day in and day out doing the work. But what I'm the proudest to talk about is the next move for Harlem Dream. Because 1 month from now, the School of the Future is opening in the South Bronx. A 200,000 square foot facility, a former abandoned ice house that is about to open its doors to 1,300 students from pre-K to high school, with a playground in the sky, with a rooftop gymnasium, with a technology lab, a STEM quad, a Harry Potter-style library. Because every kid in America deserves that level of education, and Harlem Dream is the model. Right now, we have all sorts of people today in leadership positions, in business and government, who are making lots of not great decisions. So we are making the decision to bet on the future. And the future are the kids, the teenagers, the legends of Harlem Dream. I have the honor of introducing you to one of those legends, a Harlem Dream alumni, a legend, Jasmine Mille.
Thank you, Stephanie. And thank you, Robinhood, for having me here today. East Harlem is my heart. My grandma's house on 115th and Madison, the flagpole in the Taft Projects, and the dugouts in Jefferson Park. I remember feeling this way from a very young age. Mental illness, addiction, and domestic violence consumed my household, creating constant chaos. Right before I started kindergarten, my mom unexpectedly took me and my sister to Oregon. When we returned to New York City 8 months later, we went into the shelter system. We were homeless. Every day, we had to go to a different shelter, sometimes in Queens, sometimes in Brooklyn. Every morning was a different commute to my school in Harlem. I was always late, always coming in the middle of class. I was only 6 years old, but I still remember thinking, when am I going to feel at home? By the 3rd grade, I told my mom that I wanted to stay with my grandmother, where things were a little calmer. I started walking to school, getting there early. I realized that the longer I stayed at school, the more control I had in this little bubble I created. Education was my only constant. It's where I found peace and safety. One way to be at school longer was to do sports. I hung out with the boys a lot. I started playing baseball, wasn't afraid to get dirty, run those bases, play the field, but I liked to hit, and I could hit. I knew a lot of kids who played ball in this place called Harlem RBI. Today, you know it as Dream. But for the longest time, I thought it was just for boys. Finally, when I got to my sophomore year of high school, a friend told me to come with him, and the coaches said I could try out. Like I said, I could hit. Once I was in, I realized there was a catch. If you wanted to play, you had to go to program. Games in the summer, academics in the winter, practice all year round. I still remember my first game on the Field of Dreams. That grass was so crisp and the baselines were so bright, very different than Jefferson Park. Our uniforms made us feel like pros. On the backs, they had the name of our sponsors, companies who partnered with Dream to support us. And one of them, KPMG, gave me my first internship. That is where I fell in love with forensic accounting. It combined two of my favorite things, math class and watching Law & Order with my grandmother. By my junior year, it was all about college. We talked college at practice, college at games. Dream even took us to our first college visit all the way in Atlanta. Of course, it was great seeing the Braves play, but the best part was getting my first real look at a college campus. I love seeing so many different young people, walking around those dorms, being in the library. It felt like a movie, but it was real. Back at home, Dream paid for me to take my SATs and even convinced me to apply to some schools that are of financial reach for my family. I ended up getting into SUNY Plattsburgh, but I ended up not being able to afford it. There was no way I could go. Dream brought my mom in and sat us down. They laid out what grants we qualified for and how financial aid worked. They explained, this can happen, and this will happen. That summer, Dream hosted a summer bridge program to help us with the culture shock of being on campus. They even introduced me to my roommate, another Dream participant, Jaya, who remains my best friend to this day. After my freshman year, however, my family's financial situation changed. My mom had gotten married, given up her rent-stabilized apartment to move in with her husband, and then separated, all in the time that I was away. Reality set in again, and I couldn't afford to go back to school. I called my counselor at Dream to explain. They immediately got me an interview with the foundation in their network for a $2,000 scholarship. It wasn't going to cover everything, but maybe I could get through another semester. I interviewed with a woman named Stacy Winter. I was so nervous I kind of blacked out, but I must have said something good. Stacy followed up that same day to say, we're not gonna give you $2,000, we're going to give you $10,000. And then the support just kept coming. They not only paid for my tuition, but everything, books, food, and trips home for the rest of my time in college. Later on, at Dream's Alumni Career Fair, I met Tanya Shebley, a managing director from PwC. I handed her a business card. Dream made those for us as well. And Tanya invited me to an internship. Both Tanya and Stacy became my professional and personal mentors, guiding me through every step of my journey. They're even here today, and I'm so grateful for their continuous support. Thank you. I interned at PwC for the next 2 summers. I overloaded my credits every semester to be eligible for a starting position at the firm. And when I graduated in 2019, PwC gave me a full-time offer in their digital assurance and transparency practice. Last year, there was an opening on the talent team. I became a campus recruiter with a focus on HBCUs and Hispanic-serving institutions. In January, I'll be starting on the business side, conducting interviews and hiring. I want to make sure that every candidate has support at every step of the process, that everyone has a seat at the table. When I really think about it, that's what Dream did for me. I was that kid always walking around with a smile on my face. If something was wrong, you never know it. But Dream knew me, on and off the field. They cared about all layers of me. They were my family. Now, I have my own apartment, my own car, and amazing friends I met in college. I'm able to travel the world and I have a career that I love, and I get to pay it forward. This organization showed me that my biggest, wildest dreams are possible. Today, thousands of Dream Charter School students, even younger than I was, have that consistency, that sense of home for the rest of their lives. And let me tell you something, that changes everything. I want to thank Rich Berlin and Eve Colavito and the entire Dream team for helping me turn those dreams into my reality. You've always made me feel seen. You've always made me feel safe at home. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.